Page 4, combine like terms. So again, this is a review of pre-algebra concepts. Combine like terms. So a term, T-E-R-M, a term is a number, a variable, or the product of a number and or variable, or variables plural. That's what I heard. Okay, so it's a number, a variable, or the product of a number and or variable, maybe variables. Examples. 3 is a term. Why is 3 a term? What is it, Sam? It's a number. X is a term. Kylie? It's a variable. 4A is a term because it's the product of a number and a variable. Negative 13AB. It's a term. It's a number. It's the product of a number and variables. This is the one that messes us up the most. X divided by 3, or something divided by 3, or maybe it's 3 divided by X. This is a term. And you say, no, it's not. This line means divide. And this says product, which means multiply. You have to get in your head that these are the same thing. Dividing by 3 is the same thing as multiplying by 1/2. So therefore, it's a term. An easy way to identify terms is they're separated by addition or subtraction. A plus sign separates the terms, or a minus sign separates the terms. In this expression, 4x minus 3y plus 8 divided by x minus 10xy. A plus, an addition, or a subtraction separates each term. So here's term number 1. Here's term number 2. Here's term number 3. And here's term number 4. Right, there are 4 different terms in this expression. And the key thing, don't forget, the operation belongs to the next term. Right, don't forget that this is really negative 3y. If I picked this up and carried it away, that minus sign travels with that 3y. So it's minus 3y, it's negative 3y. It belongs together. Is this coming back? Hopefully. So, now that we remember what terms are, we need to remember what like terms. Like terms are terms with exactly the same variable, or sometimes you can have more than one variable in a term. Variables. Like terms are terms with exactly, not kind of, not almost, exactly 100% identical variables. For example, 4x minus 10x. Those are exactly the same variable, x and x. Therefore, they are like terms. 3y squared plus 11y squared. Those have exactly the same variable. Therefore, they're like terms. 2xy minus xy. Those are exactly the same variables. Therefore, they're like terms. They can be combined. Let's talk about non-examples. Things that usually confuse us. 10t squared plus 8t. How come those cannot go together? Perfect. This has an exponent of 2, this t, 10t squared. This one is 8t to the first, right? We don't have to write it. But this doesn't have an exponent of 2. Therefore, they're not like. They cannot be combined. Another one that confuses us is 14gh plus 3g. Those are not like terms. Why not? Keegan? Yeah, there's no h variable over here. I understand the g's are the same, but you have to have exactly the same, so they cannot be combined. Next vocabulary term to remember is coefficient. It's important to know the coefficient, or know what a coefficient is. The coefficient is the number in front of a variable. What if there's no coefficient? What if there's no number? What if it just says x? Emma? Good. If there is no number, put a 1. And it seems ridiculous, and it seems redundant, and it seems like you're wasting your time. But if you squeeze that 1 in there, I promise your rate of making a mistake drops. And it's important to know coefficients because when combining like terms, when you combine like terms, do the math for the coefficients. If we went back up here to do 4x minus 10x, since they're like terms, I can do 4 minus 10. Okay, so 10 minus 4 is 6. And I did it backwards, so it's negative x. If I was doing 3y squared plus 11y squared, they're like terms, so I can put them together. 3 plus 11 is 14y squared. If I'm doing 2xy minus 1xy, 2 minus 1 is 1xy, because they're like terms. Is your memory being jogged? The hardest one to remember, the most difficult, is when it involves the distributive property. This distributive property is when you multiply the number outside the parentheses to the values inside the parentheses. Multiplying the value outside the parentheses to the values inside the parentheses. Ooh, I'm going to have to do some squeezing. So if we have 3, 8 minus y plus 2y minus 13. I'm going to squeeze a 1 in there because I never want a lonely variable. It's so sad. And just like order of operations, I'm going to do the parentheses first. So I'm going to distribute. 3 times 8 is 24. 3 times negative 1. Anybody? Negative 3. And what goes with it? Y. Plus 2y minus 13. All right, I did the distributive property. Now there are no parentheses. Always get rid of your parentheses first. Now I can combine like terms. 24 is going to get paired up with what? Negative 13. And negative 3y gets paired up with positive 2y. It's nice to try to be as mathematical as possible. So that means we're going to put it in ABC order. So variables go first. I only have one, okay, so that's easy. -3 plus 2. -1y. 24 minus 13. Yep. 11. That looks funny. What kind of 11 was it? It was positive 11. So since it's positive, let's put a plus sign. And there's your answer.